This is the new Corvette, and it might be the most dangerous ship added to Skull and Bones. Not because it has the highest damage output, not because it's the tankiest ship in the game, but because of how insanely well it balances defense, offense, and mobility. In this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know about the Corvette, and how you can survive fights in both PvP and PvE with the right setup. I'll break down the perks, its offensive capabilities, its defensive strength, and how to use its movement to control fights. And make sure you stay until the end, because one common mistake makes this ship feel weak, and almost everyone is doing it wrong. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to use this ship properly. Let's get into it. Alright, let's start with the perks, because this is where the Corvette really begins to make sense. This ship isn't built to do just one thing. It can always play a supportive role while still having strong offensive potential. So, let me show you why each perk is here, and what role it plays in making this ship work the way it should. The first perk of the Corvette is Flagbearer. It has different effects depending on whether you hit an opponent or an ally. On opponents, every hit increases the damage that target receives by 1% per stack, up to 20%. That means more damage for you and your allies the longer the fight goes on. On allies, each stack increases the healing they receive by 2.5% up to 50%. There is also a group effect. All allies within a 500-meter radius deal 5% more damage and receive 5% more healing. This perk clearly rewards high hit frequency. Multi-hit weapons are extremely strong here, both for damage and healing. It's important to know that Flagbearer has a short delay between stack applications. If you fire a full broadside with demi-cannons, you might only gain 1 or 2 stacks. Culverins, for example, can build stacks much faster because of their sustained hit pattern. There's also a repair weapon bonus. For each equipped repair weapon, we gain an additional 5% repair amount. The second perk is Upgraded Mark. As soon as we reach maximum stacks on an opponent, that target receives 10% more weak point damage. For allies, this perk also helps reduce severe damage based on the incoming repair amount. So, the Corvette can be played as an offensive ship, a support ship, or a hybrid. But in my opinion, the hybrid role is where it shines the most. For my first tests, I'll run offensive weapons on all quadrants and experiment with different healing weapons. Now let's take a closer look at its defensive potential. Fully upgraded, the ship has over 100,000 hull health and over 20,000 brace strength. On top of that, the Corvette has natural resistances: 20% explosive resistance, 20% flooding resistance, and 20% poison resistance. Flooding weapons are expected to be very strong this season, so having built-in flooding resistance is a big advantage. It's extremely important that you always know where the weak points are on the ship you're using. Good players will aim for them constantly, especially with precision weapons. On the Corvette, we have 2 weak points on the front, 1 large waterline weak point on each side, and no weak point at the rear. Just like the frigate, the Corvette has several large weak points. That's dangerous against piercing weapons, especially long guns. You need to be very careful with the waterline weak points. They make this ship extremely vulnerable against torpedoes. For every build you create for this ship, you need an answer to torpedoes. Now let's talk about the offense of the Corvette, and this is where things get really interesting. On the broadside alone, this ship brings 14 gun ports, 7 on the top deck and 7 on the lower deck. Up front, you get 6 gun ports, 2 top deck and 4 lower deck, giving you strong chase potential. At the rear, there are 2 top deck gun ports, and on top of all that, we have 2 auxiliary slots. In total, that gives us 38 gun ports. That is an insane amount of firepower. My first impression is that the 7 top deck guns on the broadside are extremely strong, especially for weapons like Rama's Legacy. But the Corvette's perk, Flagbearer, benefits from landing as many hits as possible. Because of that, all deck weapons might actually be more optimal to fully take advantage of the perk. The potential synergy here is huge. And then there's the double auxiliary setup. If you run something like the new healing rockets, you're carrying 60 rockets total. That means you can deliver up to 50% more healing after 20 rockets. That's massive for survivability in longer engagements. So offensively, The Corvette isn't just about raw damage, it's about constant pressure, high hit frequency, and strong utility support at the same time. Fully upgraded, the Corvette reaches 15 knots base speed and up to 20 knots while trimming sails. That is extremely fast for a large ship. The turning speed is also better than the frigate, making the Corvette feel much more responsive in active combat. There is an important weakness. Like the frigate, the Corvette has a dead angle at the rear. If enemies sit directly behind you, your damage output drops and you're forced into a defensive position. The optimal fighting direction is forward and broadside, where your weapons and maneuverability give you full pressure. If you are still watching and enjoying this video, consider subscribing. It really helps the channel grow. And at this point, I want to say thank you all for your support. It really means a lot to me. Now let's talk about the reason why the Corvette can feel weak, and it all comes down to weak points. The Corvette receives an additional 30% weak point damage. On top of that, it has less hull health and brace strength than a frigate. This is the #1 mistake many players make in PvP. In PvE, it matters less because NPCs don't consistently hit your weak points. But in PvP, players absolutely will. If you don't protect your weak points properly, you will sink fast. Good players with precision weapons will aim for those spots constantly. And because of that extra weak point damage, the Corvette gets punished harder than most ships. Managing weak point exposure is difficult because the ship has several large ones. That's why defensive armor and furniture are so important, and never let enemies sit comfortably behind you. That's your dead angle, with low firepower and high vulnerability. When played correctly, the Corvette feels durable and powerful. When played carelessly, it can melt very fast. So that's the Corvette, a ship built to deal damage, support your team, and survive the toughest fights. Remember, protect your weak points, control your angles, keep trimming sails, and keep moving. When you do that, this ship can be extremely powerful. Whether you're fighting in PvP or clearing PvE content, the Corvette rewards skill, strategy, and precision. This is your Corvette. If you have any questions about the Corvette, let me know in the comments down below. Use it well.